feeling like I'm in that end zone. I got my homies in a no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.
What is happening, everyone, and welcome back to In the End Zone UK, your home for all things NFL and much more. Week 10 is in the books, and what another crazy week it has been in the NFL. This episode I'm calling Any Given Sunday, and that is because, let's be real, there is zero consistency in the league right now. Teams we thought were great are dropping games. Teams we wrote off are suddenly alive. Upsets, weird finishes, momentum swings. The whole league is just so random right now. It genuinely feels like any team can beat any team on any given Sunday, hence the name of the episode. Today I am joined, as always, by my two partners in crime. To start with, we've got the Titans fan, Big Dave. Big Dave, how are you doing this week?
Good. Didn't have the stress of watching the Titans this weekend, so nice to sit, relax, have some beers, have a big old pizza, get more round than what I already am, and watch some football. Some stinkers, though, to be fair. But
some stinkers, some not so stinky. But for the listeners out there, it was Big Dave's big birthday. So everybody in the world in unison sing happy birthday to Big Dave. Happy. I'm not doing it right now, but you can all do it at home. Next up, the bearer of cheese, Lil Camo. Your team has also not played yet this week, so you guys have kind of had a week off, so to speak, or at least a Sunday off, and Cam, the Packers play this evening. But how are you doing? It's fine afternoon, Camo.
Yeah, all good. Ready for an interesting, intriguing watch on Monday Night Football. But yeah, all good.
And as I said, this episode is called Any Given Sunday, and that's because we've been talking about it off air. We speak about it in the group chats that we're in, but how random is the NFL right now? Like, one week you think you've got like a superpower team that's going to dominate through into the playoffs, and then all of a sudden they get beat by like a bottom of the division team. It's just, why do you think it's this way? Before we get into any particular games, do you think anything's happened this season that makes you go, it's because of this is different? Or is it just the way the chips have fell?
For me, I'm going to say I just think the play has been so inconsistent across the board. Like, that, I don't think the standard of football this season has been where it has been recently. I don't think teams are playing well. I don't think the top end players are playing that high caliber. The middle crappy players are making just as much plays as your big boys. I do think the new kickoff rule has something to do with it, because you don't have far to go to get into sort of scoring range. So it's quite easy to get at least into field goal range, especially for end of games, if you only need that field goal to tie it or take the lead, etc. That plays slightly differently, but yeah, I just don't think the caliber from players has been there this season.
Interesting. Yeah, no, good take on it, Dave. Any insight on you as to why this week has been, or this season, sorry, has been so random?
I kind of agree with Cam, to be honest. I think the quarterbacks, your Josh Allens, Lamar Jacksons, Patrick Mahomes, I don't think they've been playing anywhere near the standard that they've kind of been playing at the last few seasons, and that's sort of allowed people like Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones has been playing good football, but he's not necessarily. I feel like he's playing good team football. He's not necessarily having those individual blowout performances that you used to see from Mahomes and Josh Allen, where he's carrying a team. Lamar Jackson getting 100 odd yards rushing as well as 300 yards passing. These games don't seem to be happening. So you've got, Sam Darnold, you've got Baker Mayfield, Drake May. Did I say Mac Jones a minute ago?
Just a minute ago. But...
Yeah, no, I meant Drake May.
Yeah.
Don't know why I said Mac Jones. He's on my mind.
He's been all right.
Must be love. Yeah, even the Lions aren't necessarily doing what they've been doing the last couple of seasons. So I think that you've kind of had a bit of mediocre play, and then again, I do think the kickoff rule has got a lot to do with it. Teams have been going for a lot more fourth downs than what we necessarily normally see.
Way more.
But that kickoff rule, it's definitely changed the game when it comes to going for two. If you're up if scoring a touchdown takes you up by 3 points, it's almost worth going for the 2-point conversion to go up by 4, just because you know that if there's a minute left on the clock, they're essentially going to be starting with a ball on the 40. You know, they've only got to get 20, 25 yards, and then they can have a go at a field goal. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the kickoff rule. I don't think it's made for loads more plays. I feel like it's shortened the game a little bit, where they get 1 or 2 first downs and they're already in field goal range and they kick the ball. I don't know if I like it or not.
I was going to say, if I had to vote as to whether to change it back to previous years or leave this, I think I'd change it back. And it's a weird one, not because I feel any particular way about it. It's just more of a feeling, like what you guys just said. It just seems like it's easier to get into those scoring ranges, and that kind of takes some of the fun out of it, especially when there's ways to manipulate the rule now. I don't know if you saw yesterday, probably getting too detailed into it, but like you can there was a penalty accepted on the extra point or something that then meant that the kicking team could kick it out of bounds and the receiving team would end up on the 25 rather than the 40 because of the penalty. And it was all kinds of like, what is this? And it was like all the commentators were like, oh, at least some people are reading the rule book. And it's like, yeah, okay, but Christ, if that's the type of football we're hoping to watch, it's not really the type of football I'm in for, really. It's obviously smart play to help you this season, but I just prefer the old rules. You know, pin them back with a kick, get them to try and return it, and then make them charge the field if they don't bring it out very far. It's pretty simple, I think, really.
I think there's got to be a way where you can have a happy medium where you've got because it was getting boring them just blasting the ball into the end zone. So let's keep them rules, but so make them have a landing zone, but instead of, and you can't move till they've caught it, you can move with the ball being kicked. So you've still got the rule of it has to be played in bounds. So you do have the potential for a play rather than just kicking it into the end zone. But rather than waiting for the ball to be caught before everybody can move, let's just everybody go on the kickoff like they used to.
Yeah, it's a weird one. And whilst I was watching yesterday, because there seems to be, you know, we've had an episode this season so far about blowouts. Last night in the late window, there was 3 teams that all put 40 points up. It's one of those where it's somehow a massive disparity, and somehow everything really close. It's very strange, a very weird season. But we'll get to talking about it. I just thought that it was a appropriate topic of conversation, an appropriate name for this podcast. Any given Sunday. I haven't thought of a season in my 12, 13 years watching NFL that has been kind of so wide open. Like, you could tell me that maybe 16 different teams, 8 from each division, could be in the Super Bowl right now, and you'd be like, yeah, that's possible. You know, it's not the dominating teams running away with it, which is fun. You know, it makes for fun, but I don't know if it makes for the best football being watched. And certainly, as we get later into the episode, there's been certainly some bad football played this week, as well as some good football. So let's move into our fan favourite, our beloved slap or sign. So as always for the listeners, each of us picks 2 players, one from the AFC, one from the NFC. You either slap them for having a stinker, or you sign them for balling out and earning your respect. We will start in the AFC first. And Dave, I'm going to start with you this week. We're going into the AFC, and who impressed you most in the AFC? I want your AFC sign to start with.
I am signing Travion Henderson from the Patriots.
Running back.
He had his breakout game, and I think he would have had his breakout game a lot before this had they actually played him, instead of trying to play 17 running backs.
Yeah,
running back by committee sort of thing. He 14 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he just showed that he's got a little bit of juice that maybe they've been missing, where he was pulling away from it. You can tell that when he's in open space, you're not catching. And he blew away that last run that quick that he looked over to the sidelines because he didn't know if they wanted him to go down in field or run it into the end zone, as it was quite a close game. But yeah, Travion Henderson is getting it for me. And by getting it, I mean the sign.
And not it.
And not physically it.
That'd be an awkward watch. No, absolutely. Coming out of college, obviously I had, for the first time in a long while, and probably the first time ever, I had real eyes on this draft, a little bit more into the players that were coming out and trying to do some research on those, watching some college football at the end of the NFL season. And Travion Henderson was one of those backs that really stuck out. It was a running back heavy draft this year. And, there was obviously Genty, Henderson that came out, and they were sort of the top backs in college. This guy is doing all the things, or is being given now the opportunity to do all the things that they were saying he was amazing at coming out of college. One of those was top end speed, explosive plays, ability to take the back doors off a defense given a small gap. And that's what he did in this game. Like, he shot out of a cannon for that first touchdown. And I think it was that touchdown he definitely had the fastest ball carrying for a rookie this season, which is a weird stat, I know, but he ran over 22 and a bit miles an hour, which will be, a top 5, top 6 run in the NFL this year. So the guy's got some speed and he's got some vision. He can pass protect. And I think if they start to play him, Ramondre Stevenson's no world-beating running back, is he? And so you were talking about the running backs by committee. If the Patriots start to use him as the bell cow and he's got that splash play opportunity, I don't know how, at the moment, you stop the Patriots. I mean, they beat the Buccaneers this week, so it was 28-23. Buccaneers are an amazing team. They were much healthier this week than they have been in weeks past. And the Patriots just dealt with it. It was a close game, 28-23, but it always felt like the Patriots had sort of like the upper hand. And Travion Henderson was a big part of that, Dave. I massively respect the sign. I was going to sign, or I was thinking about signing Mike Vrabel, and I know you're a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all probably said it at the start of the season when we said that we thought the Pats were going to be the team, the improved team this year. And he's obviously the catalyst for that. He's definitely a player's player. There was that image of him on a knee holding one of his injured players' hands. Like, I think he's very much a guy that the players really want to play for. Like, he just strikes me as that guy. He leads by example. He's obviously played the positions, played for the Patriots, won Super Bowls with the Patriots, so he probably bleeds the Patriots a little bit, and that kind of shows it's coming through for the way these players are playing. Because, I mean, I know Drake Mays took a massive step forward this year. It's not even a step forward, he's took an absolute leap forward. And but again, he doesn't seem to be, I don't want to call him a system quarterback, but he doesn't seem to be that put the team on your back and I'll carry you the whole way. He just doesn't really put the ball in bad positions. He does exactly what he needs to do to get the win. And like you say there, against the Bucs this week, they were always, it seemed like the Bucs were always chasing the game. They were just always one step behind when the Patriots had just put it together. And Drake May, man, he can throw a deep ball. He can. Just puts it in the breadbasket. It's unbelievable. His downfield throwing, not necessarily 70-yard bombs, but really accurate on those kind of like touch passes over the top of linebackers and corners just to get it into his receivers' hands.
Yeah,
they're a nice team.
Amazing.
When you look at their wide receivers, they've not really got wide receivers, no big names, but he's getting the best out of what he's got. And Matt Collins, he looked good this week as well.
Which is, again, like you say, saying something, because Matt Collins is not a good wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver, but he's not anywhere near top shelf. He's bounced around the league. He's been in loads of different places. And if they're unlocking him, imagine what they could do if that's what they do and go out into this next draft and find a bona fide number one.
Yeah.
Diggs is having a little bit of resurgence as well, isn't he? He's playing really, really well.
He's had a good season so far. Steady, nice. Like it's just a steady pair of hands, I guess.
Yeah, and nice to have for sure for Drake May, but he's doing great things. But Camo, the Bucs, they seem to have definitely fell off a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's it. And that's this season, right? Teams is putting together like a 2-3 game stretch and then really not turning up. Like, I had this down before, like going into the 6 p.m. games, going, this could be a really good game. And it obviously was a good game. It was a close game, but I mean, Emeka Ibuka again showed up with a touchdown. But I felt like very confident that the Patriots were going to win it. And that is a very weird thing to say where they've been for the last few seasons. If they can find a run game, they've got everything. Like I say, their quarterback is having an amazing season. Their defense shows up to sort of shut people down. Very well balanced and very well coached. It's impressive what the Pats have managed to do this season so far.
It really is. And they obviously had a good draft. I think everyone was wiling out on how good a draft they had this season, with Henderson obviously coming in. Their apparently amazing left tackle, Will Campbell, who has played really, really well as well so far as a rookie. So
what I will say about the Bucks, pretty confident they'll obviously win their division. They could be a difficult team for anyone to come up against in a one-off game in the playoffs. Like, they could certainly beat anybody on their day. So they'll be an exciting team to watch when it matters the most.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, Camo, over to you. Who is your AFC sign?
Now, this game was a very weird one, very messy in places. Things that just shouldn't have happened. I was going to sign the Texans defense, but I'm focusing more on one player and gone Stingley. He got an outrageous interception late in the game. The way he stretched out, sort of caught it with one hand on the full stretch at a time when they needed to get that ball back was, just a real special play. And the fact that the Texans managed to turn this one around. This game started so sloppy from the Texans' point of view. So CJ Stroud is out this week, I believe, with a concussion. So Mills was their starting quarterback. He turned the ball over on the first few plays, and then the Jags sort of didn't fully capitalize on it, got it into field goal range, and then on that field goal, the Texans gave up a penalty to allow the Jags to continue the drive. They managed to only get 3 points from it, so the defense held up there. But then again, on the next sort of drive from the Texans, I think they fumbled the ball, gave the ball away a number of times. It was just real sloppy. And in this one, I think they went into the fourth quarter losing, I think it was 29-10.
Yep.
And then in the fourth quarter, they found a way, the Jags found a way to lose this one. Like, no one should go into the fourth quarter by that much and end up losing. They ended up losing 36-29, I believe.
Yeah,
and
26,
it was
26 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, which is wild. 26.
Yeah, and I'm not going to put it on Mills to say he found a way. Their defense carried them in this second half, turning the ball over and even scoring on the very last play of the game. But yeah, that in particular, that interception from Stingley was an outrageously good play, and
he's
complete momentum turner.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, you obviously highlighting the Texans defense here, and there's only one reason why the Texans have won any game this year, and that's because of the Texans defense. There is nothing special at the moment about their offense, and to give up 26 points to the Texans in the fourth quarter, the Jags need to take a real hard look at themselves. The Jags find a way to Jags it up most of the time. They started the season so strong. I think they were unbeaten at one point, and now they're 5-4. They've lost so many games in such a quick turnaround. And every week you look at Trevor Lawrence's stats and it's like 100 and something yards for an interception and maybe a touchdown last week, not even. And they don't really have much of a run game either. Travis Etienne's good, but he only looks good in like small bursts. They had, most amount of rushes they could muster this week was 58 by Travis Etienne and 150 yards by Lawrence. It's poor. And the Texans defense is amazing. That is, it's a defense that you don't put much up on. But when you've already put 29 points on them going into the fourth, you're leading by 19. It's badly coached. And this has happened so many times this season where teams have had an absolute blowout in the fourth. And I don't understand it. you can't be so submissive that you stop moving the chains. So you have to be aggressive because it's so easy to score points in this league, as we've just discussed. So yeah, very, very strange. But the Jags are becoming more what I thought the Jags were going to be at the start of the year, and there was way too much hype around them. Equally, the Texans are an absolute flop on offense, and most of this was due to the defense. And Stingley's class, Daniil Hunter had an absolute day as well. I think he had 4 sacks or 3 sacks. 3 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks he had, which is wild. And you've got Anderson Jr. on the other side, putting pressure on from either end. So yeah, this Texans team's defense is phenomenal. Their offense is not even in the slightest. Whether it's Mills or Stroud, it's not looked good. And they're in your division, Dave. What do you make of the Texans, considering obviously they were supposed to be top flight contenders at the start of the year?
I don't know what's happened to them the last couple of seasons. We're playing them this week, ironically.
Right.
Or next week, whichever way you look at it. And I don't think Stroud's going to be back for that either. So I think he's still in concussion protocol. Not that it matters, because either way they'll probably dump on us. However, I don't know what it is that since that first year that Stroud came in and they looked unstoppable, they just seem to have regressed every season since.
Yeah.
Their defense, like I say, is class. They've got some studs on defense. I thought the Jags defense was all right as well coming into this game, but they seem to just absolutely flop in the second half of it. And Trevor Lawrence he is a prime example why you don't just pay any quarterback. Pay this dude millones of cash, and he is an average quarterback at best.
I mean, at the time that he got... Sorry, go on.
Go on. No, I was just going to say that he's not seemed to do anything ever since he's been there. They have these games where he looks good and then he'll look average for a long period of time, then he'll look bad or he'll look a little bit better. I don't see him being, which is probably strange, but if you're a Jags fan, you probably think I'm talking out my anus, but I don't think he's that franchise guy. Not with all the hype that he had coming out of college.
I don't think you can think that. I think any Jags fan that would be sticking up for him at this point is delusional. What I was going to say is that at the time that he signed his $250 million contract, his stats were almost identical to Daniel Jones in New York at the time. Like, almost identical. It was weird. I think we both shared a couple of pictures, Dave, of like them side by side in their wins and losses, percentage completions, touchdowns, interceptions, and Danny Dimes was getting crucified in New York. And I'm not saying that everyone was rolling out the red carpet for Lawrence, but they paid him $250 million over 4 years or whatever it is, made him one of the highest paid quarterbacks, guaranteed all that money. I don't know. I think Lawrence will be one of those players. I really do. I think he'll be one of those players that in 2 years' time, maybe, they move away from. He goes and lands somewhere and like finds a way to be that quarterback that everybody always thought he was going to be. So I don't want to get into this now because it's too deep, but I feel like that is a continual narrative in the NFL that's probably been there since the dawn of time, but we're seeing it as new fans over the last 12, 15 years, certainly the last decade, where the expectation of a rookie to come out and change a franchise is so high. They're not given the time to develop and sort of come in at their own pace, understand the game, read the game, let the game slow down. And then before they've had that opportunity to almost make everything click, they are labelled a bust, shipped off somewhere else, and that time period allows them to essentially become better. And I could throw loads of examples out, but I feel like Lawrence might be that guy because it just doesn't feel like it's ever going to come good in Jagsville.
I do feel like he's been given quite a bit of time there, though. I don't think he's had the best situations there, but he's had a number of years.
I mean, he had a terrible coach in his first season. Then they messed around with a bunch of his supporting cast in the second. He's only really had like bona fide, proper, deep number one receiver, and I don't know if you can call that in Brian Thomas Jr. right now. And for the last year, and last year he played pretty well with him. And then they've gone and tried to put others around him, and it's just not working.
Yeah, no, I don't know. He had Calvin Ridley when he came back off that suspension. Then they got Davis, didn't they, from the Bills?
I say they
He's had-
spent so
he's had
much
some-
money at wide receiver.
Yeah,
Why
he's
not?
had some good receivers. I just don't think I don't necessarily think he's the guy, you know. And I think obviously they're never ever going to do this, but stop picking quarterbacks for the number one pick. They're not changing. Like a rookie ain't winning a Super Bowl. When was the last time that happened?
Yeah.
Has it ever happened?
I don't know if it's ever happened.
Certainly not the number one pick. Why they're not? I know again this ain't going to happen because because they see these quarterbacks and they want to draft them straight away. The only team that's had sustained success drafting a quarterback in the first round is the Packers, sitting in behind Aaron Rodgers for them years. Who else has had that? Burrow is constantly injured, and even when he's not injured, they were arse last year. You can't just pull it out of the bag at the end of the year and expect to be like this. I don't know. I just think that the only people that seem to hit the ground running are all the other players apart from quarterbacks. And I get it, quarterback's the hardest position and you're dumping a whole franchise on a young guy's shoulders. But drafting them behind a veteran quarterback is probably what you need to do. You know, they should have just, from the Titans, for example, just keep Tannehill. If you're going to draft Will Levis, let him sit and learn for 4 years and then just see what you get at the end of that. No quarterback that's drafting no team that's drafting a quarterback in the top 5 is winning anything. I guess what? Think the Redskins got to the NFC Championship game. Was that his first year?
Yeah,
it was, wasn't it? Yeah,
he was a rookie.
And what do they look like this year? Apart from the fact but even when he's been playing, they've not looked good.
No, they've not.
No, really not.
I say it would be interesting for teams to start going down the route of we will draft you for 3 years' time in the future, and let you sit for a few years. But it's a lot of money that they're
you suck.
plowing into.
It is, and I get that. Like we're in the hot. Thankfully, the Jets lost and the Jets won, and so did the Saints. So that's put us in prime position to be the number one pick. Considering probably the only team that we can beat going forward is probably the Jets.
And you don't need a quarterback, so you can either use that on a special non-quarterback talent, or give it up to somebody who's willing to pay.
But then, do you want to pay that person $40 million over 4 years?
Well, it's difficult. It's a very, very difficult one because there's evidence in both camps, isn't there, for like game-changing, franchise-altering first-round picks.
They also say you want to win a Super Bowl with your rookie on his rookie quarterback on his rookie contract because it's so much cheaper. You can put players around them. Not easy.
You can't you can't mention like Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen because they weren't picked near the top. They weren't picked top 10, were they?
No.
So Lamar going to the Ravens with a 30th pick or whatever, that's a dream for anybody. And then you're looking and he turns out to be exactly what he is. Nobody thought Josh Allen was going to be that. Or Mahomes. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone like 15 or whatever they went.
10th or whatever,
Yeah.
You know?
Crazy times. I guess we'll see as we go into the next season who takes quarterbacks, but it's premium position in all of sports. Somebody's either going to get up there before you if you don't take it, and I guess that's the risk. My AFC sign is Jim Harbaugh, Chargers head coach. I am signing Mr. Jim because 1, he's a great coach in general. 2, the Chargers are 7-3. They just beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just beat the Colts. And again, this is any given Sunday. It's like 6 degrees of separation. Ultimately, you could potentially make a case that the Browns are the best team in football right now because they beat this team that's beat that team that's beat this team. But ultimately, it comes down to the games each week. And the Chargers have looked mainly good. And they are dealing with some adversity. And that's why my sign is going to Jim Harbaugh, is that he's continually winning and putting his team in playoff contention with some major challenges, and like all teams got challenges, get it. All teams have had injuries, get it. But to lose your starting all-pro right tackle, starting Pro Bowl left tackle, second-year rookie Joe Alt, to lose Khalil Mack for multiple weeks on a dislocated arm, to lose your first-round draft pick running back, it's a lot. And then to ask Justin Herbert to continue to win every week is also a lot. But they are doing. And I think that there's something to say about that. This defense is playing pretty nicely. It's got some lovely pieces on it. Dion Henley is a good linebacker. Obviously, they've got an amazing safety in Derwin James, but I'm seeing other players step in and really, really like become something in this Chargers defense. Tulipuilioto or something like that is getting a sack a week, which is wild. And then on offense, they just have to do what they do. Like this Kamani Vidal, Dave, I don't know if you've still got him in fantasy, but I know you had him at one point. You know, he comes in and runs nearly 100 yards and a touchdown for the day. And they're just spreading the ball out. Lad McConkey's a great receiver. But aside from one or two of these things, I feel like they're putting a lot on Justin Herbert, and they're coaching well to get these wins. They're playing teams tight. They're scheming particular ways to shut down particular offenses and defenses. And yeah, Jim Harbaugh is kind of in his bag right now. And it's making it really, really tough in that AFC West, which is obviously great to see. Great to see some new teams taking the lead. But it's going to be a tough division to get out of into the playoffs because there's so many winningest teams in there. So, yeah, Jim Harbaugh gets the sign. Chargers, they win again.
Nice. Yeah, he just brings a bit of stability to that franchise. I mean, it's impressive, but they were a team again that started the season so hot, looked so good. Obviously, I know you guys haven't been the biggest fan of Herbert, but it'll be interesting. He's doing well. I just feel like the last few games I felt a bit more desperate than confident in what they're doing.
Yeah, you're right. And I think I've had Herbert, obviously had that Vidal in fantasy, so I probably pay quite a bit of attention to them. The Chargers games, you know, Herbert, desperate is such a good word, Cam. And that's why I would put probably my savings on the fact that the Chargers aren't winning the Super Bowl. It feels like they look into stuff. And Herbert, desperate is such a good word, because that's what he looks like when he drops back in the pocket. Like if it wasn't the fact that he's got unbelievable arm talent, that lad McConkey can't separate. Keenan Allen's old, like he's putting the ball in like the tightest windows you can possibly think of. Like they're having to go through defenders' arms for the wide receivers to catch the balls.
Yeah.
So this is 90% on Herbert, because like I say, he's the most sacked quarterback in football. He is constantly getting hit. Even when he's dialing up these elite passes that he's throwing out there, he's getting smashed by defenders. So I think it's a good sign. You know, the Chargers are an up and coming team. I just think that division's full of pretenders. I think the Chiefs are still the best team in it. I despise the Chiefs.
Yeah,
the Chiefs have got a worse record than the Broncos and the Chargers, but ultimately,
they're better than them.
I think in the playoff, I think Mahomes is just better. You know, I think he never looks desperate. And I just think that when it comes down to it, that the Broncos, you don't know what you get with them week in, week out. They'll either put 40 points up or they'll put 7.
Yeah.
And still somehow win, because their defense will keep the other team to 6.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and
it.
The Chargers,
the ball is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the Chargers will run out of answers before the questions stop coming. I think 3 teams will make it for that division. I think the Chiefs will get in, because I don't think the Steelers will. So I think 3 teams will make it from that division, and I think the Bills will make it with the Patriots. I think the Steelers will be probably the team that misses out, because you look across the rest of the AFC, like the AFC South, only the Colts are getting in there.
Yeah.
The AFC North, who's in the AFC North?
Ravens.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to be the only team that get in there. I think that leaves a 3 and a 2, really, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah, and the problem, or the fact of the matter is that wins and records speak for themselves. The Broncos have got 8 wins, the Chargers have got 7. Like it's hard to, you can't claw them away. They already exist. So
and it doesn't matter how they've got them wins either. They've got the win.
No, exactly. And then they get into the playoffs, and it's any given Sunday. I'll say it again. Say it as many times as I can on this podcast. But yeah, so Jim Harbaugh. Moving on, AFC slaps. Camo, coming to you for your slap, please.
I'm going to slap Justin Fields. for absolutely just sucking. And it's weird. I'm sapping they won this week. The Jets beat the Browns, but in no way was that because of Justin Fields. I might say this again later on in this podcast, but he is god awful, and he is relying on defense, special teams, and a run game. And fortunately for him, that showed up in this game in terms of they got a kickoff return. They also got a punt return. I think they had about 20 points on the board, but Justin Fields was 3 for 5, 3 completions for 5 yards and an interception. But they had 20 points on 20 points on the board. Yeah,
at the half, Justin Fields went in. Yeah, at the half, Justin Fields went in with 5 yards passing, 5 yards, and he finished the entire game with 54 yards passing, a touchdown and an interception. He's very, very fortunate that Breece Hall had a better day, and and well done. They got the win, but he has to know, especially now with what the Jets have got undone and got draft capital, he's going to be one and done there, like one and done, or at the very most, he'll be there next year. You can't.
But that's it.
You can't do it. You cannot. You cannot play like Justin Fields is. I think we said this a few podcasts ago, but he is now the most losingest quarterback in NFL history for any quarterback that's played more than 50 games. His winning percentage is like through the floor. He looks awful, and he finished the game with 54 yards. Like when do you ever see that? And yes, they won, but Cam, you're being way too nice. Like they had a kick return and a punt return. Again, let's be honest. Special teams is big, right? Fine, it plays a part in football, but there's fuck all like actual game skill involved in that play. Like it's a fast person.
You speak to the special teams coach, you'll probably say something different. But yeah,
I'm not. I am not taking away from the work that gets done in special teams, and I love a special team score. You know, save the Seahawks bacon a couple of times this season too. But what I mean is, when it comes down to football, fundamental football, playing actual football, you've got as much luck that goes into a kickoff return as you do skill. Like it's, I think you got some prolific returners, but that's why like prolific kickoff returners of like some of the best ever have only returned like 7 touchdowns ever. And it's like, because it just doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I think, I don't know. The Jets have to. There's no question in anybody's mind. You can't be the quarterback. Like I'm surprised that they're even starting him. What? Well, they're probably starting him to try and lose, and ironically, they won. Like what a joke! It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
He's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
He's utterly embarrassing.
His strengths are meant to be his legs. I feel like he's forgotten to run so much now.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything.
Terrible.
Awful. And so, yeah, the Jets won this 27 with him throwing 54 yards, 27 to the Cleveland Browns as 20, and the Browns go and Browns it up because their special team sucks. And actually, Dylan Gabriel played a reasonably good game. 167 yards, which isn't great, but 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers. He got sacked. He got sacked a lot. He got sacked 6 times. 4 times by McDonald. Yeah. But I don't know. I would like to say that the Browns with this Gabriel dude are moving in the right direction. They're just not winning, and they still suck ass. But their defense is generally good. Special teams clearly not. I don't know. Dave, this game's a mess. This a mess of messy teams.
Yeah, like I said, I was glad that the Jets won, but the Jets have got a history of doing this. They have some guy who's not the quarterback of the future. They have a coach who's not the coach of the future. And when they need to do nothing but lose games, they will win one and see themselves off like they did when the year they won like the last game of the season or whatever it was that took them out of the first number 1 pick, and they ended up with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
You know, I know you can't predict the future, and I guess that all the players want to win. None of the players want to lose. The only people that probably want to lose there are probably the Jets fans, and there are about 6 of them in the stands, and maybe the ownership, because they're thinking about what comes next.
So I was thinking about this. Now that they've got all this draft capital over the next 2 years, do they have the right people in place to actually make those picks?
No, they don't have a GM.
Yeah.
They don't have. He ain't going to be the coach. He is ass. Whatever his speciality is, he's meant to be a defensive guy, isn't he? A defense.
It was being on the Lions franchise that had an amazing team after 10 years of shitness.
Yeah. So I mean, no, they haven't. So I'm guessing they want the best picks possible, which will then make them a really attractive franchise to get in a decent head coach, because the head coach and GM
you can build the team in your image because you've got all these.
Because you've got 74 first round picks over the next 2 years. I'm guessing that's what but again, I mean, you say they've got a lot of draft capital, so they've got the ability to move up and down the board. Like if they don't like a quarterback this year, at least they have got Justin Fields for another year. But who's going, I'm buzzing to take over the Jets with Justin Fields? Nobody is. He needs to go and back up Lamar Jackson.
I agree. He needs to not play football as a starting quarterback. Is ultimately what we've seen on tape this season has been about as bad as any starting quarterback that I've ever seen. Ever.
I don't know if it's the Jets though, because he was serviceable at the Steelers last year before Russell Wilson came in. He won like 4 games, didn't he?
Yeah. He did. But again, that's the Steelers. That's the Steelers' source, isn't it? Like the Jets' defense isn't playing great this season, whereas the Steelers last year, their defense was great. So it's almost like they put you in favourable position.
Yeah, that's why he needs to go and back up someone like Lamar, someone who's the same like archetype as him, because he's not a pocket passer, is he?
Not at all. Terrible. Okay.
Because he's not one of these guys that you could put. Clearly, he's not one of these guys that you put on another team and they do well. Because we've seen on too many teams now to know that that's not him.
No, he's probably got millions. He can go and sit and count that money and just cry in his wardrobe. Okay, Dave, your AFC slap.
On the theme of quarterbacks, I'm going to slap Josh Allen this week.
The MVP, Josh Allen. Yeah.
I mean, he shouldn't have been MVP either, should he? That was a sympathy MVP. His missus is smoking hot, though. Yeah, Josh Allen's getting it. You can't score 13 points all game and not expect a slap. And then 13 points came in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They were shut out. I'll say it again. Shut out by at the time of the game, 2-7 Miami Dolphins.
Wow.
Who are on a resurgent, they're on a two-game win streak now.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
Playoff bound Dolphins.
I mean, they weren't great. Mashed potato Edwards, he threw 2 interceptions, but they did enough. They've got Devin Achan, who the Seahawks should have gone and traded for.
Agreed.
But Josh Allen, 28 of 40, 306 yards, 2 interceptions, wrong. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He couldn't do anything. He was running for his life the entire game. His offensive line just dissolved into a bunch of nothingness, about as useful as a handbrake on a canoe. Awful offensive line play. And he was just running around. He looked a little bit like Justin Fields this week. Just running backwards and forwards behind the line of scrimmage and then throwing to nobody. And this is like we said before, they need a number 1 receiver. They haven't got that guy. Yeah, so he's getting it. He didn't get much help from James Cook. He had 13 carries for 53 yards, but they were chasing the game. They were down by double digits before they even decided to think about trying to play. It was 3 and out.
Yeah, it was 3 scores, 3-score deficit going into the fourth.
Yeah, and like it was. They'd score a touchdown, and my missus would be like, "Oh well, they can bring it back." And then in the third quarter, she was like, "I don't even know why I'm watching this." She goes to me, "Is this what it's like to be a Titans fan?"
Wow.
And the answer was yes.
Well,
no,
because
I said no because we score points. They're not scored any points at that point. However, they were awful and they deserved to lose the game. The Dolphins actually looked pretty good. Jalen Waddle, why he's still there and somebody hasn't given a first round pick for that guy is beyond me. The Dolphins are in a weird position as well. They've got a quarterback who clearly isn't the guy. They've got a good running back. They've got great receivers, elite receivers. We'll see what Tyreek Hill, what he comes back when he's if he comes back when he's got RoboCop leg. But yeah, 30 points on the team that the Bills look a little bit fraudish as well. There's a lot of frauds cutting about at the minute. The Bills have not looked that good all year.
Their defense certainly hasn't, and they've been gaffed on the ground by multiple teams, and this week was no different. Like Devon Achan had 174 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is a hell of a day for a running back. Almost as good a day as you could ask for, but there were better running backs this week even. So yeah, I think the Bills are in a bit of trouble, and I'm surprised that they didn't do more in the trade window, like you say, Dave, to do one thing or the other, as in be a firepower on offense, go and get that number 1 receiver, bolster your defense after having lost Ed Oliver, who's one of your main man run stoppers, so you can actually keep yourself in games. And we might see, because that could just be the tail of the tape. Now they've had a few injuries, and now that he's gone out, and it could just be that's the way to beat the Bills. Run on them. Don't allow Josh Allen as many attempts, keep the ball, control the clock, and then, force Josh Allen to use his second string receivers to try and beat you. And if you're a good defense, not that the Dolphins are, by the way, they're really not, but they just did what they needed to do. And as you say, had Josh Allen running around like a lanky Kyler Murray, which was just not good to see. I've got him in fantasy, and a couple of garbage points towards the end of the game, which helped his stats but did not help the Bills look good. So yeah, 30 to the Dolphins, 13 to the Bills. Bills will probably still be playoff bound, but as you say, they feel like a bit of a bluff at the moment. They start.
I mean, how many teams win the Super Bowl with just a good quarterback? None. They either have a good offense that's just absolutely put points up for days, or a really good defense that can stop the other team. The Bills have got neither. They've got an elite quarterback, and then they're hamstrung at every other position. Baffles me that they didn't go out in the transfer sort of like window and get some people.
And the way it's looking, if the Patriots continue, they're going to win that division, so they're going to be away from home as well in the playoffs.
Yeah. Not the worst thing, I don't think, because Buffalo in the snow, as much as they might be like, yeah, it's what we do, it's our home, and they do tend to win, nobody really wants to play a snow game, do they? Really? I don't think.
Don't know.
So, yeah. But yeah, definitely means something, Camo, because it means that they won't be at home. And that's almost a guarantee at this point. So I guess we'll see. My final slap in the AFC is Thursday night football. I'm slapping Thursday night football as a whole, not generally speaking, but this week. This week, we were tortured into watching the Raiders play the Broncos. I mean, for listeners out there, we're a UK podcast. We watch football out of the UK. And that is the reason why myself, Dave, and certainly Camo are absolutely shattered on a Monday / other days of the week if you decide to try and stay up and watch it. My technique now is to get up early on those following days, not look at social media, and watch the game in 40 for the Thursday night game and the Monday night game. That's what I do. And then I watch all of the football on Sunday. Boom, done. Love that. Wake up at 6:30 in the morning, watch it before work. Good to go. I sat and watched 40 minutes, and I'm so glad that it was only 40 minutes of this dross. The Broncos, 10. The Raiders, 7. What a torrid affair. Your attention is on one game of football on a Thursday and on one game of football on a Monday night. I can't think of much worse. This was like sticking needles into places that I don't want to talk about. This was awful. 143 yards for Geno Smith, no touchdowns and an interception. Bo Nix, 150 yards, extra 7 for him, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. That's it. There was 17 points in this game combined. The difference was a field goal. How poor and pathetic. What a pair of just boring ass, sluggish, uninspiring offenses mixed in with one very good defense in the Broncos. And it it did what it needed to do, but you're only trying to stop Geno Smith and a bunch of nobodies on offense. So it's not that hard, is it? Everything about it was horrendous. We watched one of the worst football games I've ever seen. Period. And there were stats to go alongside that. Like, I posted them on our socials the day after. but it was just a monumental pool of poo. And I've got nothing more to say other than that Geno Smith, who thought he was a good idea at the Raiders, clearly it was the sort of Seahawks aura that held him up for a couple of years, or that underdog mentality. I saw something really interesting the other day. I think it was Colin Cowherd said, Geno Smith is not the quarterback that you go and seek out. You don't go pursue Geno Smith. If you end up with him and you're settling for him, kind of fair enough because you're settling. If you go and get him, what's he really going to bring you? And, you know, I loved Geno Smith. I didn't love him. I enjoyed Geno Smith at the Seahawks. I think it clearly goes to show that he was helped by the weapons that have been, I guess, strong for the Seahawks since he's left. Like maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba was quite a good receiver and Geno Smith was just poo. Maybe DK was better than what we realise and Geno Smith was just not good enough to use him to his full potential. Who knows? And then on the flip side, you got Bo Nix, some spotty teenager who can't get it done and has to rely on his defense every week to bail him out. And every so often goes on a little gallop to try and get a first down out of pure and utter desperation. Nothing designed, nothing clinically planned. And I hate Sean Payton as well. Think he's a knob. Thursday Night Football gets a slap. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I actually think the Raiders are the worst team in football right now. I think every
Worse than
single
the
thing.
Jets.
Yeah, I think every single thing about them is terrible.
They are bad.
Pete Carroll needs to give up again. Like, why you came back to do this? Don't understand it. Geno Smith, comeback player of the year, needs to go away. The only even that Ashton Genty's not done anything. But yes, you keep him around. But there's not, besides Max Crosby, name me anything good
Brock Bowers.
about that franchise. Again, you keep him around. He's had obviously a rough season with injuries, etc.
Oh, he's class.
Oh, Brock Bowers is elite. In my opinion,
yeah,
not even close. He's the best tight end in football.
when healthy.
Yeah, and I mean,
Not being thrown
Yeah,
out
yeah.
by Geno Smith.
that's the problem. I think
Yeah.
that's the catalyst to all of this. The fact that Geno Smith, they brought Pete in. Pete was like, I know a good quarterback, Geno Smith. He were good for me. He's not from, I don't know why he's from Yorkshire, but he brought him in because Geno Smith's thrown 12 interceptions to 11 touchdowns. He's been god awful. His completion percentage actually isn't that bad, but he's been awful. And I think you're right, Cam. Like, the only people you keep there, Max Crosby, because he's the franchise guy. You keep Genty because he probably will be a really good running back.
Yeah.
When you can actually throw the ball down the field and have a bit of balanced play. And obviously, I think Brock Bowers is unbelievable. He's probably one of my favourite players as well. They are all getting sacked after this season, 1,000%. Especially with Brady as a part of that ownership group. He's going to be he'll be like dying inside because of it. So I think he probably had a hand in this as well.
Yeah.
They're
Or
all
at least
getting,
he allowed it. Somebody came up to him and said, no, listen, Tom, Pete the Meat and Gino, they're going to be good for us. And he probably was like, yeah.
I
Let's
mean,
give
you're
it a
only
try.
you're as good as what you've done previously, and Pete's always been pretty good and relevant. Gino with Pete was good, so they probably look at that and they're like, man, that might work. It obviously isn't. So they are 100% getting the axe. And I don't know if they're the worst team in football because they did pound the Titans, which probably makes us the worst team in football. But they're definitely up there. There's probably 4 teams that suck the most: the Titans, the Jets, the Saints, and these bumper clarts. Probably closely followed by the Giants, who, shock horror, running quarterback gets injured. Who'd have thought it? Never seen that one before.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that in a bit. But no, Cam, I know what you're saying, though. It's like Brock Bowers is only good if you've got somebody you can throw at him. That's it. And I guess it's a bit scary because imagine somebody who could. Imagine if the Chiefs had took Brock Bowers instead of some jabroni, like, defensive end that they took in that draft and traded up and took Brock Bowers. Or Josh, I mean, I guess Kincaid's quite good. So, but fair comments there, boys. But and also the Broncos, by the way, I can't remember exactly what it is. Let me have a quick look. But the Broncos are 8-2, right? 8-2. They are essentially the best team in the AFC right now. These are the teams that they've beat. Titans. No offense, Dave. Bengals before they had Joe Flacco and were rolling with whatever that Spazzo's name was. They beat the Eagles in a 1-score game. They beat the Jets by 2 points. They beat the Giants by 1 point. They put a hurting on the Cowboys. They beat the Texans by 3 points, and they beat the Raiders by 3 points. That's their wins. Raiders, Texans, Giants, Jets, Titans.
Yeah, we said this last week.
Bengals.
They only win. They've had like maybe 2 blowouts against the Cowboys and who else did the blowout? They've had 2 blowouts, and then every other game's a 1-score game. Tight 1-score game.
There's no blowouts aside from the Cowboys. They put 44 points on. Every other game, the Bengals, sorry. They beat the Bengals by 25 points, which is a blowout. So fair. Yeah. Bengals.
The rest of them, I think we said last week that the rest of them were all 1-score games. They're fraudulent.
Yeah. So fraudulent. And
yeah.
There they are. Another fraudster in the AFC. It's making me angry. Let's go into the NFC. NFC. Let's stay with the slaps. Who are you slapping, Dave, from the NFC?
I'm slapping Brian, the fellow bearded Baldy, Dayball. He's definitely fatter than me and got way more money. Yeah, Brian Dayball's getting it. You could probably put a little bit this on, so it's maybe like a 50% slap to Brian Dayball, 25 to Jackson Dart, 25 to Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson's done nothing but lose them games when he's come in.
Yeah,
they've lost 4 games where they've had the lead in the fourth quarter, like big leads sometimes as well, especially against the Broncos. Speaking of the fraudulent Broncos, I'm surprised he's not been sacked yet, to be honest. I feel like I was half expecting to open social media today and see him get sacked, but I can kind of see why they're doing it again. I feel like if they are going to keep him to the end of the season, it's probably better for Jackson Dart, and you can just clean sweep at the end of the season, bin the GM off, bin whoever you need,
They've got to, though, haven't they? Do you think it's going to happen?
This is a team that, a GM and a head coach that came in together, obviously paid Daniel Jones, let Saquon Barkley walk out the door. I do think they've signed some really good players. I do think they've drafted really well. They've drafted Kayvon Thibodeau. They bought in Brian Burns. They bought your boy from Penn State this draft,
Abdul Carter,
who's going to be elite. The defensive line's really good. It gets after the quarterback, and that's probably the reason why they're in a lot of these games. But they just collapsed. There's nothing on the back end. They let Xavier McKinney go to the Packers.
Yeah.
They just, and I don't know. Jackson Dart, you can say Jackson Dart's numbers look great. He's got like 15 touchdowns or something, or total touchdowns.
I'd say all of them with his freaking legs.
16, I think. Yeah. I think 16. That could be a guess, but I think it's 16. But whilst you're looking at that, Dave, I absolutely agree. When you've got that, let me know. But Brian Daboll, I've had him in my sights for seasons now, and I was always lenient with him a little bit when you were affiliated with the Giants, and I was thinking, but I've never thought he's good. It's always somebody else's fault. He always looks angry. He always looks like he's fuming, and he's had a few reasons to be so. Don't get me wrong, there's a few dodgy calls going against him, but generally speaking, his head looks like a ripe tomato, and what's wound me up the most is like I feel like he thinks Jackson Dart has saved his job. I feel like he thinks like, whoopee, bring in this running quarterback who's going to put his entire skeleton on the line, just like Cam Scatterbo, but by the way. Like these players who he's got no actual regard for, he's just passionate that they're going to try and like essentially sell their soul to win him a game. And that's what they've done. Cam Scatterbo, ultimately what was going to happen to him before his brain became porridge, his body was going to give out, and it did. And Jackson Dart, too many, one read goes. And he's being told to do that. Like he's being told.
I don't necessarily know if he is. But I don't know. I think maybe they've got a shrunken like playbook or whatever where they're like, this is your one. If it ain't there, go. Exactly. Or he's just not very good, and he's like he's Darius Slayton his entire like offense, or Wandale Robinson, that's it, because Neighbours is obviously gone, and he's kind of like not open or not got a chance. I'm just going to go, and he's now got a concussion because he got absolutely nailed. I genuinely don't think he's very good. I think a lot of people, you see what he's doing. He's got 10 passing touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns is basically what he's got.
17, okay.
Yeah, which is obviously good. They're good numbers, but they're not winning games. And I'm not saying that's necessarily again on him, but he just seems to be. And again, I've had him in fantasy, so I've been watching him play. He's got the ball, he looks, nothing, runs. And that's why he's been getting first downs. That's why he's been getting touchdowns. And it does piss me off a little bit, because I'm like, do you know what? If Cam Ward did that, we'd probably be either in more games or would have won more games, or he'd have better stats. But I don't want him to do that. The last thing I want is him running, getting tackled and getting injured, tearing his ACL or getting a concussion. Because if somebody breathes on you too hard now, you've got a concussion. So that's why, Brian Daboll's getting it. It wasn't meant to be a Jackson Dart slander.
Because I still think that goes back to coaching, because he's a coach.
Yeah.
So he's got to coach his young rookie quarterback to say, listen, mate, when you take off and you score these touchdowns, that's great. Don't do it every time. Only do it when you've got to coach that in him. You've got to say, like, there's a thing called a check down. There's a thing called throwing the ball away. These two things exist, by the way, Jackson Dart. You don't have to take a hit every single time he picks the ball up, which he seems to tend to do. I think it's a coaching thing. He's a rookie. Yeah.
I do think Jackson Dart will be better. He has got that ability to use his legs. I just think he needs to not do it all the time. And this is probably why he's injured now. It's a shitter in it. And when your teams, what even are they now? They've got to be 2-8. When your team's 2-8, you don't need to be taking them chances.
No.
Just learn to play the ball, play the game from the pocket, move the pocket left and right. It must be a shitter for your offensive line as well. When you get sacked or nailed because you've extended the play too much, or they must feel really bad. But again, I'm slapping Brian Daboll because the team's imploded 4 times when they could have easily won games. They could have a decent record right now and be competing essentially in an NFC East that is actually, I'm not saying it's there for the taking, because the Eagles are by far the best team in there, but you could at least be competitive. You'd be second in the division now if you'd have won them 4 games instead of losing them. So, and ultimately it's down to coaching. I do think they'll both be gone. If I was Joe Shane, the general manager, I'd sack Brian Daboll and hope that it saves your job. Be like, look, we've got rid of him. Let's bring another guy in. Let's see. But because I do think he's quite a good GM. Both of them came from the Bills. He was the assistant GM at the Bills, and I think I do think he's been pretty good. And they are building a team. They've got a good defense. They just need a few more weapons on offense. And obviously they've had some injuries. Malik Neighbours going down has not helped anybody, let's be fair. No,
but it's been really hard for them.
But there's many a team. You look at the Niners. The Niners have got nobody, and they're managing to keep games competitive and win games.
No, absolutely. And it's mainly on the coaching. So there you go. Brian Daboll. Camo, who are you slapping from the NFC?
Good old Bryce Young. Yeah.
Yep.
So I do not understand this Panthers team. They've got a better record than what I imagined they would have. They came into Green Bay last week, ran all over us and beat us. And this week they lose at home to the Saints and only score 7 points.
Any given Sunday. Oh, that was nice.
Bryce Young is terrible. In this game, it was just appalling. Another one of those QBs that is being helped by a solid run game at the minute. Dowdle has been running all over teams. He actually didn't have a fantastic game this week. He only put up 53 yards, but he got the score.
Which is why they lost.
Yeah, but he got the score. Bryce Young turned it over 2 times. Well, he threw 2 interceptions. And absolutely just embarrassing. Like you say, Dave, the teams that you would want to win right now, the Jets and Saints, both managed to get wins this week while your Titans were on a bye. Yeah, it just baffles me that they were this bad. And in this one, there was such a weird thing of they had a field goal. The field goal got blocked, both teams touched the ball and the Panthers recovered it. So from going from a field goal, they actually ended up with the ball again, only for 2 plays later to lose a fumble. Just an absolute shockingly offensive game from the Panthers, and Bryce Young is not helping anybody. If the run game is not there, you can't rely on him to stretch the field or continually find players, because he just can't do that. Yeah, so Bryce Young is getting it for inconsistent play, turning the ball over, not scoring any points, and off the back of coming into Lambeau and beating us to losing at home to the Saints. Madness.
It is, yeah, it's probably the epitome of what we're talking about as the narrative to this podcast, to be honest, because they are now 5-5. They are literally the middle of the road, good and bad, beat good teams, lost to bad teams. The Panthers are this anomaly that the NFL is this year. 5-5, can't beat the Saints, but beat the Packers at Lambeau is wild. Really, really bad. 17-7 they lost with this one. Tyler Shaw, Sugar Who, whatever you want to call it, had a pretty solid game. 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara had 80 on the ground. I mean, how do you go? I don't know how you go from shutting down Jordan Love to letting this Tyler Sugar Who score on you. It's madness, but it's just the NFL at the moment, and I don't like it. You know, like you can't trust it. I haven't been putting bets on. I usually put bets on games. I haven't been putting bets on at all this season, because there is no chance. There is no way you're going to get an accumulator come in this year. And if you did, it'd be worth thousands. So yeah, it's bonkers, Cam. But it's
Taysom Hill in for about 20 snaps this game.
Yeah. Taking a leaf out of Dave's book. That's what he said they should do. Put Taysom Hill at quarterback and just run it, which
they did.
maybe helps, and maybe help the win. So Dave will step aside. In comes Big Dave. Yeah, so nice. Okay, cool. So Saints get a win, an unnecessary, unneeded win, but they get one, and we move on. Let's go to mine, I guess. My NFC slap. My NFC, excuse me. My NFC slap is going to the Washington Commanders defense. Now, they went up against the Lions this week. Fair enough. Fair enough to have 44 points put on you. But is it fair enough when you are a reigning NFC championship contender, which is what the Washington Commanders actually are? You know, NFC championship last year, lost to the Eagles in dramatic fashion. Coming into this year, big hype. Jaden Daniels is the guy, adding a few pieces here and there, but they didn't actually really add much this year apart from a fat Deebo Samuel. So you look at it and you go, maybe they'll be good. Well, no. They've been the opposite of good. They've had some bad luck. Fair. Jaden Daniels, hamstring, dislocated arm facing the wrong way against the Seahawks. But at the same time, to Dave's point, shock horror, running quarterback, ends up injured. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody can do it consistently. There are few that can do it week in, week out, season in, season out. Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, Cam Newton, Josh Allen. The last two are built like brick shithouses and just run through you. The first two, elite level speed and agility and some element of durability, albeit Lamar's dealt with his injuries. So you've then got Jaden Daniels, built like a McDonald's straw, coming in trying to run through full-grown men, NFL men, and ends up getting snapped. And then all of a sudden your season's in disarray because your defense is older than my granddad's bowling team and can't put anything at all on the field to stop a generally high-octane offense or even a generally average offense, because they're all just so old and past it. And they've gone from being like this secure, well-coached, high IQ defense with your Bobby Wagners and your Darren Paynes and last year Jared Allen and Marshawn Lattimore and a couple of other players in places where you go, yeah, I can understand why this might work, maybe. And it worked for a season. And now they're getting beat everywhere. They're so slow. I mean, Jameson Williams last night, what I really enjoyed last night was the fact that Dan Campbell took over the offensive play calling, because it was getting a bit stale. They'd put 20 points up or so, but you could see his frustration. You could see that they weren't exploiting the areas that they need to. He takes over the play calling. Almost everything goes to Gibbs or Williams, who are two of the fastest players in the NFL. And they just burnt the Washington Commanders in every which way possible. Stretched them out wide, burnt them down the seams, and both of them had career days or close to. It's wild to think that the Commanders now, looking at them with 2020 hindsight, that anybody thought they were going to be any good. They're 3-7, and if they did have Jaden Daniels, some of these games might have been a bit more competitive. But Jameson Williams had 120 yards. Jamar Gibbs had 142 with 2 touchdowns on the ground and 1 through the air. And it's just this Washington defense, man. They've got a lot of work to do in the off season, and unfortunately, that's the only time that they're going to be able to do anything about it now. It's far too late. I really hoped that the Seahawks were going to trade for Bobby Wagner one last time in this trade window and bring in a linebacker, because we seemingly needed one, but maybe after today we don't. But I thought that might happen just because he serves no purpose on that defense anymore. Their team, their season's Romeo done.
Bring him home.
Bring him home.
They don't seem to have anything, do they? And the age thing, I think we said it when they signed and didn't really trade for any of them, did they? When they signed them all in free agency, and they all jumped over because they thought Washington were going to be this up and coming thing now because of Jaden Daniels. But like you say, it can't last forever. Like Lamar's career would have been short if he'd not learned how to throw, because he wasn't a passer, was he? He was a run first quarterback, and he's learned that he needs to adapt after getting injured a couple of times, and he's become this pocket passer that's got the ability to break forward. I think the perfect hybrid is probably Jalen Hurts. He runs when he needs to run. He can throw the ball when he needs to throw the ball. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd have a Patrick Mahomes, wouldn't you? But not everyone can have one of those. And Cam Newton, he only played like 6 seasons.
Yeah.
They were good. They were exciting. But then what happens? Body gives out on him. And I think that it's all right having these. If you can bring one of them in and have a window like a Cam Newton where he wins MVP, gets him to the Super Bowl, then go for it. But surely you want the longevity. You want a 15-year quarterback that can kind of constantly keep you relevant. And I just don't see these quarterbacks at the minute being like it. They're a little bit, I don't want to say they're soft because they're professional athletes. And if I got hit by Bobby Wagner, my spine would eject all over the field. So I'm not trying to say they're soft at all, but in relative terms, if you're not a 6'6" monster like Justin Herbert, you probably can't take these big licks constantly. So I'm with you. I agree.
It's because they're trying to lean too much or adapt too much to like the college game, where it is a lot more mobile, a lot more one read, take off. But there's such a difference between college and
and I think
NFL. That's the thing. That is why these standout college quarterbacks that are mobile then come in, and it's because they're actually playing against people that end up stacking shelves.
Yeah,
not
true.
Professional footballers.
And it's the same like Genti. That Genti came in with 2,000 rushing yards or whatever, but he's rushing against kids, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Then when you get to the league and you get 260-pound Bobby Wagner stood in front of you, what on earth is this monster?
Yeah.
And that's just one of them. Fred Warner side to side. Devon White, he's just built like a brick shithouse, but he's rapid.
Yeah.
You don't see them people in college. And I think you're right, Cam. The games are so different. They're almost trying to make the NFL like college, but it isn't. You can't do it because you're not facing little kids. You've got Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa coming off the edges, ready to rip you in half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Could not agree more. And this Washington Commanders is quite the opposite of made up of college team members. It's made up of freaking retirement home participants, I think. And the Lions sort of do the business. Obviously, 44 points is amazing. So it's just a Lions score game, I guess. Jared Goff had a reasonable game, 3 touchdowns through the air. It is what it is. The Lions are 6-3, makes the NFC North, continually a tough place to be. We got some breaking news actually, but I'm going to get to that after this and after we've done our game of the week. But there's some breaking news that's very relevant to what we've just been talking about. So we'll get there, but suspense for the listeners right now. NFC signs. I'll start. I don't usually start. I'll start with my NFC sign. Now, this was going to be a singular player, but I'm signing a duo. I'm signing a double. And I feel a little bit, Sarah, say cocky, because I've done it 2 weeks on the bounce now where I've signed somebody from my own team, but you guys weren't going to do it, and I think it's worth it. So I'm signing Tyrese Knight and DeMarcus Lawrence as a duo from the Seattle Seahawks. They both accounted for 14 points of Seattle's 44 points yesterday. That was an impressive performance on defense by the Seattle Seahawks and a big win in the division. Swept the Cardinals. Seahawks are now 7-2. Cardinals are now 3-6. But it was what these guys did. In the first half, Tyrese Knight, a linebacker, might I add, that has been in and out of the starting lineup because they weren't sure whether he's good enough to play middle linebacker alongside Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones gets injured last week. They bring in Tyrese Knight. They had carbon copy-like plays on two separate Cardinals drives where they set up a linebacker blitz. Tyrese Knight flies through the middle, sacks, forces a fumble of Jacoby Brissett of the Cardinals, and DeMarcus Lawrence is running in behind like a train to sweep the ball up and run it in for a touchdown. DeMarcus Lawrence, 2 touchdowns on the day on defense. Tyrese Knight, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, resulting in 2 touchdowns on the day. That totally swung the game. Like, it wasn't a game that was looking particularly tight anyway, but that just swung the game to another level. And the Seahawks won 44-22, which is weird because that was exactly the same score as the Lions and the Commanders in the late window as well. But in this one, the Seahawks had their way. Sam Darnold only needed to throw 178 yards and 1 touchdown. He threw a horrible interception that bounced off the helmet of one of his linemen whilst the Seattle Seahawks were on their own 3-yard line because the Cardinals just did not stop going for it on 4th down in the red zone against the Seahawks. And that's exactly right. If you're losing by 30 plus points, that's what you do. But in this one, the Seahawks made it like they put it out of any kind of possibility really early. Big bomb dropped to JSN again from Sam Darnold. Deep 40-something yard pass into the breadbasket for a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had a good game in terms of when you need to catch a ball when you're playing against a team that just keep getting sacked and stopped and turnovers and that kind of stuff. It was a sight, to be honest, the first half. The Seahawks looked like they were a force on defense. So I'm signing DeMarcus Lawrence and Tyrese Knight. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, it was a impressive early performance. You just took the game away. Like I say, you were up so much so quickly that even, yes, if they came back and put 22 points up or whatever, it wasn't competitive. Like I say, you might have got a bit complacent and took your foot off because of such a big lead. I mean, you've done it in a few first halves this season, though. You've got 4 of the 5 biggest scores in the first half, 2 of them being 38 points. It's impressive. And like I say, your defense is taking the ball away and scoring points, which you can't ask for much more, can you?
No. Dave, you've got the Seattle Seahawks defense in fantasy. Was that a sight for sore eyes?
Yeah, it was good. I think you've had back-to-back games really where you've done this, where you've essentially put the game on ice in the first quarter, first half, and it's difficult obviously to come back. But I was having a good week in fantasy anyway, and that was just kind of topping it off. I think at one point they were predicted to have 46 points. That was after them, the 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns. The fact that it happened twice, I thought my TV was glitching. But yeah,
I thought my eyes were glitching.
Yeah, Good time to be a Seahawks fan, eh?
Yeah, I mean, right now it absolutely is. But again, when you start talking, and I'm definitely happy, definitely not taken away from it. I think it's when you start talking about some like bluff, or not bluff, but easy paths. You know, I feel like we've had a relatively easy path to 7 wins. You know, like we've had to play the Cardinals twice, who've not looked great. We've had to play the Saints, and we've played the Commanders, who we've clearly recently labelled a bit of a bust. Although they had Jaden Daniels when we played them, but it's a weird one. It's a weird one, and again, not trying to be that cocky. I really think I know where we are. I really think the Rams are the best team in the NFC right now. I think they're the best team in the NFC West as well. I think the Rams are playing almost undefeatable football right now. But when you see the Seahawks defense play to this type of a level and shut down teams to this quickly and can pounce on those opportunities that fast, it gives me hope, I guess, and that's all I can really sit there with, is that we've got hope that we can maybe do something of that ilk against some of the better teams in the NFC, or remain competitive with some of those better teams in the NFC, and maybe make some sort of playoff, appearance and run. That's all I really. Obviously, I want a Super Bowl. Who doesn't? But like, all I really want this season was going to be a maybe the Seahawks are good, maybe they're bad scenario. What I want now is, I just want to prove that we can do it against some good teams. I guess that's the most important thing for me. Can we do it when the going gets tough?
Starting with the Titans in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, right.
We got the Rams. We got Rams next week. That'll be a game. So we got the Rams next week, and yes, we've got the Titans the week after, which we are all going to. So that should be fun for someone.
Yeah, there's no better way to rebound from a Rams loss than a Titans win. So
potentially. So yeah, I mean, that's the Seahawks. The only thing that happened in this game was the narrative changed when those points go up, and the Cardinals just played a very odd game of football. Just there was no consistency, and it became very, I don't say hard to watch, but disjointed, I guess is what it did.
Yeah, but what I will say about that before we move on to my sign is Jacoby Brissett, ironically, is probably their future. Kyler Murray, I don't know what you do with him. Like, what do you do with Kyler Murray? Because they look so much better with Jacoby Brissett. It wasn't necessarily their offense that let him down yesterday, it was the defense. Or maybe you could say it's their offensive line that let him down. What's his name? Marvin Harrison has looked considerably better with Jacoby Brissett than Kyler Murray.
Way better. And so is Trey McBride.
Yeah.
Way better. I think, I don't know what that says about them. Does it mean that because Jacoby Brissett for the rest of this year should be their quarterback, I think, but he's obviously not necessarily their future. Does that mean that they just need to essentially go out and get a new quarterback? Is that the Cardinals right now? A pocket?
I don't know what you would get for Kyler Murray. I don't think he's done enough to like Justin Fields' career. I saw a thing the other day.
Could he take over from Justin Fields at the Jets?
Maybe. I mean, I've seen a thing saying that he might go to baseball, just wrap his career in and go to baseball, because he got drafted number 8 overall in the baseball draft the year he got drafted in the NFL, and they still own his rights. So in theory, he could just retire and go and play baseball. He's only is he 30?
No.
I feel like he's 28 or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's still young. I thought he came into the league young. Kyler Murray is 28 years old, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still think he can be a quarterback. It's really weird. He's just never really had the successes. He's obviously always been there. He's had times where he's had, like, he got D-Hop, didn't he? He got D-Hop straight from the Texans. So he's had good wide receiver. He had Larry Fitz when he first joined, didn't he?
He did.
When he first got drafted.
What a goat. So
he's had a good set of hands essentially his whole career. I don't know.
There's definitely a place for him in the NFL. I guess it's a weird one. It's a weird discussion though, because what is that place? Is he's better than a backup, but he's also maybe not good enough to be good enough.
Yeah.
I guess
he's in that kind of
he needs
area where
he needs a new franchise.
Yeah.
Try him somewhere else.
I feel like he's in that same position, or he's going to be in that same position to what like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, where they've obviously not worked out at the first place. They need to just move on and find a new home. Kind of see him at the Saints for some reason. I don't know why.
I was going to say, if you are the Saints and you've taken Tyler Shaw recently, I think they took him with the second or third pick. It's quite a high investment in somebody. Do you go and try and roll with Tyler and then maybe try and get Kyler Murray for a third?
I think it depends what the rest of the year looks like, doesn't it?
Yeah, true. Okay, and moving on, we go from the Seahawks to Dave's sign in the NFC.
I'm signing Mac Jones this week.
Oh,
and it's
the Mac
not,
attack.
not necessarily just based off this week's performance, but based off since he's essentially coming there as a starter. And I think again he's put himself in a position where if you're the Niners, is he worse than Brock Purdy?
Camo was saying no.
The question is he better than Brock Purdy, seeing they've just paid Purdy?
I think he can do more of his. I think he's got a better arm than Brock Purdy. I think consistently he's putting up yards.
Well, again, there's a whole conversation about where was Matt Jones drafted compared to Mr. Irrelevant that came into a very nice scheme and showed up. There's a reason why he was drafted there.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he was drafted barely drafted.
He was like middle of the first round when he Brock Purdy, Mac Jones to the Patriots. Maybe like 12 or 15.
Yeah.
And I think if he had the same time in this scheme, and one thing you say about him is robust. He's constantly injured, yet he constantly plays and still puts up points.
Yeah.
Putting up 26 points on a Rams defense. It was a closer game, I think, than what it looks. It just that everything. The reason I didn't sign Matt Stafford was just because everything he seemed to do just it came off. He's got two elite wide receivers, an elite running back, an elite offensive line, and the Niners are playing with the third and fourth stringers.
So I almost signed George Kittle.
Yeah.
From this game. Like I say, and they both players lost. But
yeah. I mean, Matt Jones, 33 of 39. He missed 6 passes. One of them was an interception. 319 yards.
Nine targets, 9 receptions, the touchdown, and everything to just keep them moving.
Mike Jones, I just signed him basically because of what he's done over the last couple of weeks, and I think that he's been steady enough that you could look at him, and I think it would be a conversation if I think there's more to like about him than Brock Purdy.
Way more.
Well, look at what the Niners have done with QBs. They obviously gave up so much draft capital to trade up and pick whoever the hell it was at like number
Trey Lance.
Yeah. Then got very lucky that Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, came into a scheme and looked decent, took him sort of deep, to him paying him getting injured, and now once again playing their backup, and their backup looking very good.
Don't forget about old Jimmy Garoppolo being in that mix as well.
Yeah, well, it was Jimmy G that got injured, then Trey Lance got injured, and then Brock Purdy came in, wasn't it? So he was like the third man deep. Yeah. And he managed to just steady the ship, because he's basically what Mac Jones is, a steady pair of hands that doesn't try to do too much, makes good decisions, and they win games. I think the difference here is the fact that he's got no players around him.
No. Yeah. Say they've just got Kittle back the last sort of 2 games. McCaffrey's had a obviously better season and been available. They've got no defense.
No.
And that's the thing. Up till sort of usually the Niners defense is huge. They don't have those players right now.
The problem that the Niners have got is that they've literally just paid Purdy $50 million a year.
Yeah.
And now they've got Mac Jones, who looks every bit as good as Purdy, and if you put the same weapons around him that Purdy normally has, probably is as good, maybe better. What do? You've almost ballsed it up again. You've almost ballsed it up again, as the Niners in a quarterback scenario.
There's a lot of
teams are in that position.
There's a lot of paying players after 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah. And you know who's next on that list, don't you? The Colts will be paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Because they'll have to.
Yeah, that's it. You make that case to be the potential game changer. and then you get this money. But I think
I am all in favour
who's-
of shorter contracts.
yeah. But I mean, I'm sure we are, and I'm sure that the actual agent scenario of it all is very different. But yeah, to be a proven commodity in the NFL as a is something that is so valuable. Who's trading for who? Let's hypothetically, who's trading for Brock Purdy at $50 million a year? Surely nobody.
Unless you're very, very desperate and want something.
Oh, you'd have
Well,
to be
yeah.
so desperate.
They might look at him and see that he could bring that to their franchise. You know, that
Yeah.
he could go to the Saints and be a steady pair of hands that's not going to turn the ball over. There's just so much that goes into it. You know,
For $50 million a year though, like that, he comes with such a price tag now. It's not like oh, we'll trade for Brock Purdy and maybe we'll get away with paying him sort of middle of the road quarterback money. Nah, you've already got that.
yeah.
They've made it very hard for themselves. I think the Niners ultimately will probably have to stick with Purdy and
I think
maybe
Mac Jones
try
will
and
go.
trade Mac Jones.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably on a 1-year deal there.
Yeah, it might be
Probably,
actually.
yeah.
They probably won't even like nobody's going to do it because they know another team knows that the Niners are sticking with a 50 million a year guy.
It's similar to obviously Sam Darnold at Vikings last year.
Yeah.
The Seahawks have seen that and gone, we'll take that.
Yeah.
I just don't know where would he go? Could he go
Mac
to the
Jones. Cardinals, Dolphins, maybe something like that.
Raiders.
Maybe.
Steelers?
Yeah. Rodgers has got to be done soon. We didn't speak
Well,
about the Steelers
Rodgers is-
earlier, but
Yeah.
they. I nearly slapped Rodgers. He was awful last night. It was a terrible watch. Overthrew everything, threw loads of interceptions.
Like
Yeah, I
I
think
say, I'd love to see him get to the playoffs, end his career in the playoffs, but
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
it's looking a lot less likely now with the Ravens coming back and not
He's-
taking advantage of their.
Yeah. He kind of looks to me a little bit like Matt Ryan did with the Colts.
Yeah.
You know, he went to the Colts where you can see that like he's kind of got it upstairs, but not really got the ability anymore to just. I mean, some of them like that last pick that he threw went through his receiver's hands, like and
That wasn't.
you can't account for that. But
He reacts so badly to when a player does something like that.
Yeah.
He's not a team first man, that's for sure. He's not the type of person who wouldn't make you feel bad about doing something. Imagine how bad you feel as a player when you've just been like trying to catch the ball, it bounces off your hands, gets intercepted, and you turn and look at Aaron Rodgers. Like there'll be plenty of players out there, like I can't even think of one now, but who'd look at you and be like, "So it's
My
all
bad.
right,
Again. Yeah.
My
the
bad.
next one, or my bad, threw it too hard, or like whatever." Rodgers is like seething through his grey beard, basically saying, "This is all your fault. This is like you've ruined my days." It must be a hard person to play with. It doesn't.
Yeah.
He does not at all scream leader to me.
No, and I mean their only touchdown came with about 4 minutes left to go in the game. You know, they
was a bad
did
game.
nothing all game. I don't think the Chargers look particularly great, especially not Herbert. He missed a lot of throws. He's just got a lot more help, I think.
Yeah, it was a bad game. It was a bad game overall. Last but not least, Camo, NFC sign.
Yeah, no, it's in that same Rams Niners game. I am signing Devontae Adams because he just fits so nicely into this Rams team. Doesn't have to be the number one, but yet still comes up with a touchdown every game.
Yeah.
The man just gets open. His release is disgusting, and I think it's really is like the perfect landing spot for him.
Yeah, can't argue about it. We spoke about it very recently, and the reason why I said last week or whatever when we said that Stafford's the MVP, and why I've just said this week that the Rams are, I think, the best team in the NFC. They have got two number one top 10 wide receivers. They've got two.
Yeah.
They've got two of the top 10 wide receivers in the league. I still think, given the chance, Devontae's still a top 10 receiver. If you look at
but it's crazy because he
touchdowns
doesn't
this
even
year.
have to be. That's the scary thing. Like,
No, but they've got it. And that's the thing. It's like, if your number two corner is traveling, or not even traveling, he's just lined up opposite Devontae because you have to stop Puka Nacua, it's not like he's not lining up against Torrey Horton or Jaden Reed or Calvin Ridley. he's lining up against Devontae Adams.
And Devontae was never gifted with speed either. It's his release off the ball. He gets open by just creating space, and he's still got the same hands as always.
Yeah. It's like, his game is technique and intellect, as well as obviously, he's still physically gifted. But yeah, you're right, Cam. He's not a burner, but he got open on a slant and got pushed out at the 2-yard line.
2 yard. He could have reached out.
No, but I'm talking about his release, man.
Yeah.
His release was unbelievable. Like, it's like a skip. He's been doing it for a decade.
Well, he sort of jumps up before
up and sideways, and then plants, then moves. And for some reason, DB still don't understand that he's gonna go the way that. But then at the same time, he could plant, juke, and go the other way. It's really hard. He's amazing, and it's a fair sign, Cam. And when you've got somebody of Matt Stafford's caliber throwing at you as well, that he puts the ball exactly where it needs to be 95% of the time. They are elite. I'm really genuinely, as good as the Seahawks have looked, I'm really worried. Like, I'm scared to play the Rams next week, and I think that is something that the Rams have just built over time. Like, there's a fear factor with them. If you don't get to Matt Stafford, he will cut you up, slice you to ribbons.
No, it's just not only that. Their defense obviously plays ball hard as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm focusing on the offense, but their defense is equally as nasty. The only thing they may be missing is something in the secondary, but everything else is fantastic. That's a great sign, Cam. Okay, cool. And we now finish slap or sign. And we go into our final segment, which is Game of the Week. And this Game of the Week we voted for and comes as a international Berlin in the Germany game, playing out of, I don't know what the stadium is in Berlin, but playing out of the stadium in Berlin.
Olympic Stadium.
The Olympic famous stadium. Thanks, Cam. And this one was a tight game. It was actually a very, very good opening quarter, and then a solid sort of second half, fourth quarter with a bit of a lull in the middle. But the Colts get the job done again, 8-2, and they beat the Falcons, who fall to 3-6, which is a really poor standing for the Falcons. If you think they're on the same sort of win ratio now as the Dolphins, who have looked like one of the worst teams in football. This one was. I'm glad that the German fans got to see this. Obviously, we've got UK games, and some of them have been pretty stinky over here. But this was a good game. This was a cool game. Obviously, we don't slap or sign anybody from the Game of the Week, but there would have been some signs in here. No question about it. There would have been some signs in here, if nothing else, for Jonathan Taylor. But the Colts looked good, but they looked beatable in this game. And the Falcons looked more beatable than good, but still had elements of good. And every week, as I've said it, Drake London is proving to me that he's not an overrated quarterback. He's an overrated receiver. He's actually really good. But Dave, I wouldn't say you're a Colts fan at all, because you're a Titans fan, but you have respect for the players on the Colts, and you've got a couple of them in fantasy. Talk to us about this Colts team that got the job done in Germany.
I would say I'm a fan of the Colts, which is odd because they're in our division, but I don't hate them like I hate the Titans and the Jags. The Texans and the Jags. Love the Titans. All right. I think it's because they've probably got Daniel Jones. I've got a soft spot for him.
Yeah.
And I like Jonathan Taylor. I've got him in fantasy, I guess. I've had him for a couple of years now in a row. But yeah, they've obviously got a solid team, but again, they didn't look great. I thought at one point they were going to lose this game. I was buzzing when we got into overtime, because I was just thinking about fantasy points, but it wasn't a particular. I kind of missed the first half. I was doing something else, and I came in and saw what was happening, and I was like, well, I'm kind of glad I missed the first half. But Bijan, for all the hype that Bijan had at the start of the season about being the best running back in the league, there's levels to it in there. Jonathan Taylor can do it. Not only can he run and rush with the ball, but he can receive as well. He had 42 receiving yards as well. The dude had nearly 300 total yards from scrimmage. He's just next level. This is his 5th game this season with 3 touchdowns. He's in my opinion now, head and shoulders above everybody for MVP. No quarterback play.
The way this season has gone, this has to be the year the MVP goes to non-quarterback.
I think the only person who's maybe got a chance of kind of touching him is probably going to be at the end of the season. It'll be Matt Stafford, just with the way that he's been playing. But Jonathan Taylor's putting this team on his back, week in, week out. 244 yards rushing is outrageous. That 80, what it was
ridiculous.
It was like an 86 yard or an 84 yard is the longest play this season for anybody. Obviously not a touchback or not a kick or a punt return, obviously, but from normal play, we'll call it non-special teams play, that he has got the longest play now.
And it's just the eye test as well, isn't it? Because he does this every week, and he moves forward, he doesn't go backwards, and the 3 touchdown thing. What is it? 3 touchdowns in 5 games this season.
As in 50% of the games he's played this season, he's got 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he's got 15 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, if there is a time that a running back wins an MVP, do you think he's having a better season this season than Saquon had last year? Yeah,
and I would say only because he's had these games, these 244-yard games. I know Saquon he at least had one 200-yard game, but he's hot. I mean, what are we 10 games in, and he's on 1,100 rushing yards. I don't know if he's on pace. I don't know what his pace is, to be honest, to be as in like a single season pace.
Yeah, but who cares about the amount of yards? The amount of scores that he's getting is.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. And like I said, he's had so many 244, 153, 123, 165.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, he's not come into a Colts team. He's doing this on a Colts team that, yes, this season has looked very good. Saquon, who was this best running back in the league, went into an Eagles team.
Yeah, it was prime.
That was already Super Bowl sort of bound.
Yeah, and he's got weapons everywhere.
Yeah, this is the Daniel Jones-led Colts.
Yeah,
that Jonathan Taylor's gone, we'll just run the ball.
Yeah, and I think that's even more credit to Jonathan Taylor, because you know what the Colts are going to do. I know they've got a balanced offense now with Tyler Warren, who's amazing, and then obviously receivers, but you know roughly what the Colts are going to do. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to play action with Daniel Jones, and you can't stop it. You literally can't stop it. They've looked more beatable in the last 2 weeks. They obviously lost last week, and this week, this Falcons team, like the Panthers, is just like the epitome of what we've been talking about this whole podcast, which is just like the randomness of 1 minute, like you said, David, you thought that they might actually beat the Colts, and then all of a sudden they get massive touchdowns put on them and they're buried. And it's like, and they've got 3 wins. This Falcons team that, Division Dives, Cam, you were loving the Falcons coming into this year with obviously Bijan and everything else that they've got, and they're bottom of the barrel. They're about as bad as it gets in the NFL. 3 wins puts you right near the bottom. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of the Falcons. I don't think Michael Penix is their quarterback.
No, I was about to say, I think he again had like they I don't want to say he had the hype. He didn't have the hype that Bijan had come into the season, but he was meant to be the guy. He just looks ropey, 12 of 28. That ain't he's the guy, 177 yards and a touchdown, and he's got the weapons. Their offensive line is unbelievable. The Falcons' offensive line is unbelievable.
It's so good, yeah.
The Colts couldn't get to him. So if you're not blowing teams away, they're 3-6, like you say. That's not good football. Good football team, is it?
No. So yeah, that's it. The game of the week: the Colts beating the Falcons in Deutschland, and that finishes our slap or sign and game of the week. And we've covered everything this week except for the Ravens-Vikings. And the Ravens beat the Vikings 27-19. JJ McCarthy had 268 yards, 1 touchdown, but it was not enough. Only 19 points to put on the Lamar Jackson-led Ravens. And they're coming back, aren't they? I wouldn't say with a vengeance, but they're just...
saying, I think the Vikings... they were there in this game. They
were
held
there.
They held the Ravens like to low points for a lot of it, but they just kept stabbing themselves in the foot. The amount of full start penalties, so it was 1st and 15 rather than sort of 1st and 10, and they just
Interceptions.
Them picks. Picks.
Terrible.
They were terrible. Yeah.
That
These were just bad
the
shots.
pick. Yeah, the pick to Humphrey, I think it was, who got the last one, where Jefferson fell over. That was as bad, nearly as bad as the Jordan Love one from the week before.
Nearly.
I don't even like. Humphrey was like, "What is happening here?" Like, and he didn't even like. I felt like he caught it, and he didn't know what to do with it when he caught it because it was so like a strange that this ball had like landed in his hands.
Yeah, so true. I put in the group chat, I was like, run with it then. I think I had time to type run with it before he'd actually took off. I'm like, that's your ball, mate. You can take that to the house, but he's not quite the house.
But no, you can't throw 2 interceptions against the Ravens and really live to see the W at the end. I do think the Ravens are definitely on the way back. Lamar still doesn't look, to me, 100%. He looks rusty. And I think once that rust gets knocked off, they're going to start bulldozing teams, because the Vikings aren't a bad team. You know, they're a good team,
good as well,
and they lost this by a touchdown. I guess 8 points.
I wasn't a fan of that roughing the passer penalty.
Oh, I was. He landed on top of him with his body. I think you're going to get called for that every single time.
The rules.
It's because he jumped though. That's like why.
Yeah, he speared him into the floor. When they put that in the group, I was like, I've seen so many now that are petty that when I saw that, it didn't even register as being petty. I think it's because he speared him into the ground, didn't he? Ultimately,
we've been institutionalized essentially to soft penalties being given for roughing the passer. That if you put that next to others that have been given, that was like GBH. But at the same time, I think, who was commentating on this one? I can't remember. Somebody mentioned it though, and was like, it was one of the commentators basically saying like he's been commentating for 25 years, and he can assure that if you'd have seen some of the hits that he saw young quarterbacks taking 20 years ago, there'd have been ejections and all sorts.
Yeah. The problem is the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks aren't made of the same stuff today as what they were back then. No. And I think that's the problem. The issue is if he goes out, Carson Wentz comes in. I don't really want to see that again. I mean, Carson Wentz isn't coming because he's on IR, so like whoever their backup is coming in, and we don't really need to see that. I don't think JJ McCarthy's that good that I want to see his backup play.
Yeah. No, for sure.
There's so many where like quarterbacks have been hit, and it's drove me mad. That for me wasn't one of them. But
what I don't get is that you're a professional football player, like as a defensive end. You're a professional football player who knows the rules, right? Just don't land on them, or just don't do it. Like, just don't do what you know you're supposed to not do. Like, and I know that you're coming at it with, ultimo, what's the word? Like adrenaline and vigor and like aggression maybe, but like once you know that you're going to make that hit, you've got to do something to like show that you're coming off it. And that sucks a little bit, because I'd imagine what that feels like to actually just nail a quarterback must be great. But you've got to play with the rules of the game, haven't you? It's a rule.
It's almost a 30. Yeah, it's almost a 30-yard swing in it, because if you're sacking the quarterback, they're losing between 10 and 15 yards. If you F that up and you make a mistake and land on them with your body weight, or hit them high, hit them low, hit them, it's a 15-yard penalty, isn't it? That now you're having to work against. It's going the opposite way. It is so tough. But then you get like, and we've probably not mentioned it, obviously the Josh Allen flop, and they're asking for penalties. It's as bad. You can't. So I can get why defensive players want to smash him, because especially if they're a gobby quarterback, you just do it for the sake of it, for shits and gigs, don't you?
You do. Absolutely.
What's this breaking news that we've not heard yet?
There we go. Dave, you called it. Breaking news. Maybe Joe Shane is trying to save his job. Insert breaking news music. Brian Daboll has been fired from the New York Jets, from the New York Giants. And they must be listening in live to this podcast. Not that we're recording it live, but somebody from the Giants organisation's heard you, Dave. Maybe Joe Shane's on speed dial from your old Giants days, and he said, you know what, Dave's right. If I get rid of Dayball now, maybe I keep my job. And that's what's happened. Big, bold, fat tomato man is out of New York. And I'm really happy. I'm happy about that. I think it's his time. Yeah. What do you reckon to it? I know we spoke about it, but you said it's probably the right decision. You think it's right that he's gone now?
I think if you're the GM, it's right he's gone now, because again, like I said, he's probably saving his job. Mike Kafka, who I imagine he's the OC. I imagine he'll be stepping in to that head coach sort of like vacancy or whatever for now. I don't really rate him. He came from the Chiefs. He was a quarterback coach for the Chiefs. Mahomes don't need a quarterback coach, does he? Like,
no.
The success in Chiefs land is Mahomes. It's not Andy Reid. It's not the stupid little plays. Andy Reid didn't win nothing before Mahomes. It's obviously Mahomes, isn't it?
Yeah.
The same as it weren't Belichick, it were Brady.
Yeah.
Do I think Kafka can probably do a lot? No, I don't really rate him. I think it'll be a complete clear like house clearing at the end of the season.
Right. Interesting. I think it's what needed to happen for the Giants. I think the fans deserve to move on from the loudmouth, angry, beaver-looking man that is Brian Daboll. And yeah, at least if you're coming into the Giants organization, whoever is in next, there's some excitement in the place. You know, we've been there, we've heard it. Like, we've been to New York, we've been in the stadium, and there is some life in that New York team. And I think it just, I genuinely do. And I've said this since the start of the season. It's a coaching thing. You've got to get it right. A young quarterback, young team, young players need a proper leader, and I've never seen that from Daboll. So, you know, your Abdul Carters, your Malik Neighbors, your Jackson Darts. I'm not going to throw Scatterbo in there because I think his career is probably over. They need a leader, and he's not been that. He's been a finger pointer, a shouter, and a glory taker, I think. So goodbye, sayonara, auf Wiedersehen to our German fans. Camo, Monday Night Football, Packers, Eagles at Lambeau. You've just lost to the Panthers and then had a bye week. Oh no, you didn't. You just lost to the Panthers and had no bye week. What is happening tonight?
That is a good question. We could absolutely show up and Jordan Love could throw the ball and look great. I think not having Tucker Kraft is going to be a big telltale for us this rest of this season. I think we lose 27-20.
All these things. We could show up. We could put this.
I generally think we lose because the Eagles have so many options. They may not use them all very, very well and very efficiently, but those options
the cheese
got taken down by Bryce Young and the Panthers. But the fact it is at Lambeau and giving us a chance. If it was away, I'd be very concerned and think it could actually be quite a dismantling.
Oh, come on.
The thing with the Packers, you know very early on in a game how it's going to go. There are games where we can move the ball and you go, okay, cool. Wide receivers are weirdly open. There are other games where everything just stalls.
I think that's a Packers
sort of pattern.
Yeah, I think that's a Packers fan. Like, you as a Packers fan, you put yourself into that mindset that if you're not blowing a team out in the first quarter, you know how it's going to go and it's going to be a tough sledding. So many times this season already, you've been losing and then you've come back to win. So I'd say that actually goes the other way.
Nah, I think we need our defense to show up tonight. Is what I think we need. We need a big performance on defense, take that ball away, because I think the offense is going to struggle a little bit. I think Matthew Golden hasn't really stepped up or sort of done anything this season. He, I think, is actually out tonight.
What, on the town in Green Bay?
I think I saw something. 7 of our 8 receivers are on the injury report.
Right.
So yeah, we're not looking too healthy.
Okay.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping that Josh Jacobs can have a big day. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one, I'm afraid.
Okay. Dave, Eagles, Packers, what are you saying?
I think the Eagles will win. I think they've got too many names. I think the Packers, as much as I despise the Packers, but as much as It's at Lambeau, and I respect them as a team, and I think they've got a good team. I think stars win games. I just don't think the Packers have got any stars at receiver. They've obviously got a great running back, Josh Jacobs. I think he's amazing. But pound for pound, when you look on both sides of the ball, I just think the Eagles are a more quality team. So I would say them. But they're at Lambeau, and it's obviously going to be cold and stinky there. Philadelphia's cold and stinky as well, though, isn't it?
So true. What will be interesting, I think, is not a game changer, but what will be a factor. All these new acquisitions of the Eagles will be coming to play tonight. So the Jaden Phillipses of the world, the Jair Alexander's revenge game of the world.
Jair's ruled out.
Oh, is he not playing? Fair enough.
No.
Okay, but nevertheless, there's some new blood that the Eagles are going to hope takes them to that next level. I'm assuming that's why they made the trades, and that will be interesting.
I think Saquon's also got a dicky hamstring, isn't he? So that could play a part. Although I think behind their offensive line, I could get a yard just once.
I could rush for 1 yard. I could definitely.
Or Quay Walker. Quay Walker breaks my will to live and pelvis and back and legs and neck.
I reckon I could come in for one play and gain 2 yards, and it'd be the tush push.
Yeah, and because you like boys pushing behind you.
Exactly. And I won't be able to walk straight for a week either, which is normally the case.
Which is pretty normal for you.
Good stuff. Okay, cool. Well, we'll wait and see. I actually think it'll be a tighter game than you think, Camo, maybe. I don't think it's going to be... I think the Packers will be in it to the end. Field goal wins it for the Eagles, is my prediction. But in those games, anything can happen.
Any given Monday.
Very good, Dave. And that has been Any Given Sunday, a podcast. Week 10, done and dusted. Thank you for listening. Always a pleasure. And make sure you're following us. Our socials, @InTheEndZone UK. If you've not already taken a listen, take a listen to our bonus episode that came out last week in relation to trades. We called it Trade Talk, and it was all the moves that happened just before the deadline. So if you want to educate yourself on some players that have moved to different teams, take a listen there. Otherwise, we will be back next week for week 11. Till then, thank you, boys. Football is life.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Catch me balling like I'm in the end zone. I got my homies in the no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.